of informal mentorship: how boys become men when someone shows up. I am your host, Dr. Philip Montgomery. There's a young boy right now out there walking through his neighborhood, watching everything, learning everything, but being taught very little directly. He's observing how men speak, how they react, how they survive, but no one is sitting him down. No one is saying, let me show you how to become a man. And that is where informal mentorship changes everything. Now, what is informal mentorship? Let's talk about what we mean when we say informal mentorship. We're not talking about structured programs. We're not talking about scheduled meetings or official titles. We are talking about the barber who gives advice during a haircut, the coach who pushes discipline and accountability, the neighbor who checks in and says, "You good?" The older cousin who shows a different way to live. These are the men who step in without being asked, without being paid, but with impact that lasts a lifetime. In many marginalized communities, especially among Black boys, this form of mentorship is not optional. It's survival. The reality boys are facing, let's face it, we must be honest about the environment. Many boys are growing up with limited access to consistent father figures, exposure to community-based trauma, pressure to mature too fast, conflicting messages about masculinity. What they often don't have is a safe, steady voice guiding them through it all. Without mentorship, boys are left to interpret manhood through social media, peer pressure, survival instincts, and those are unreliable teachers. Why informal mentorship matters. Informal mentors do something powerful. They interrupt cycles. They show boys that emotional control is strength, that discipline leads to freedom, that respect is earned, not demanded, that there are options beyond what they see daily. A mentor doesn't have to say a lot. Sometimes it's just showing up consistently, listening without judgment, holding a standard. That consistency creates psychological safety, and safety is where growth begins. Identity formation. One of the most important roles of a mentor is helping a boy answer the question, who am I? Because if that question is left unanswered, the streets will answer it for him. An informal mentor helps shape identity by modeling integrity, emotional awareness, accountability, and vision. They don't just correct behavior, they build identity, and identity determines direction. Now, what is the silent impact? Here's what's powerful. Most informal mentors never realize how much impact they've had. The boy you talked to once remembers that conversation for years. The time you said, "You're better than that," might be the moment he chose a different path. Mentorship doesn't always look like transformation in the moment. Sometimes it's a seed planted that grows later. Barriers to mentorship. Now let's address the challenge. Many men who could mentor don't, not because they don't care, but because no one mentored them. They don't feel qualified. They're focused on survival themselves. They don't realize the impact they could have. But here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect to mentor. You just need to be present. What boys actually need. Boys don't need superheroes. They need consistency over intensity, honesty over perfection, guidance over control, presence over performance. They need someone who says, I see you, I hear you, and I'm not going anywhere. That stability is rare, and when it shows up, it changes everything. From boy to man. The transition from boyhood to manhood is not automatic. It is taught, it is modeled, it is reinforced. And without guidance, that transition can become distorted. But when a mentor steps in, something shifts. Anger becomes discipline, confusion becomes clarity, isolation becomes connection, survival becomes purpose. That's the power of mentorship. Now, what's the call to action? If you're listening to this, you're in a position to change someone's life. You don't need a program. You just need awareness. Look around. That young man in your family, that kid in your neighborhood, that student who seems withdrawn. Start small. Say something. Ask a question. Be consistent. Because one conversation can change a trajectory. As we close, we must remember every boy deserves a guide. Every boy deserves someone who sees potential before it's visible. And in communities where resources are limited, people become the resource. So the question is not, are there mentors available? The real question is, who's willing to show up? This is Dr. Philip Montgomery reminding you that healing, growth, and transformation often start with one person who decided to